Hey, my ADHD family, I'm Yakini, coming to you from ADHD Love. Today, I wanted to talk about working memory. And it's something that I've struggled with most of my life. And I'm telling you, if it wasn't for the processes that I put in place, I would not be in the career that I am today. And not only have I struggled with it, I see my children also struggling with it. So if we're going through this, I know other parents are too. So I thought this would be a very good topic to discuss. And so we're going to talk a little bit about executive function, and then we're going to get into working memory. Okay, so let's get started. Last weekend, I attended a conference called TEFOS, and it was the Executive Function Online Summit. It was hosted by Seth Perler, and he's an executive function coach, and I'm telling you, he was an amazing speaker. And the purpose of this summit was, it was really geared towards parents, and it was for us to really understand executive function and what are those areas that our children may be struggling with and how we can implement certain skill sets that would last them for a lifetime. And in the process, we as parents learned that we may have to adapt new ways of thinking and doing things to get our children to their ultimate goal, which is just functioning better throughout life, right? So I really enjoyed this summit. I thought it was well put together, and it was a very good teaching opportunity for me. Even though it really supported a lot of the things that I'm already doing, I still learned so much more. And so I wanted just to touch on what executive function is, and then I want to talk about what working memory is, and then just some tips, a few tips that you could use that you can implement for your child, or at least try, whether it's in a school setting or at home, okay? So the first thing is, what is executive function? So executive function is a high-level cognitive function that really helps you organize your thoughts and get you from point A to point B, B being that ultimate goal. And it also helps you decide, what tasks are important along the way. So if those tasks are important, you can just brush them to the side. Well, the issue is, especially with a child that is, ADHD, you can find them going after decisions that will satisfy the short-term gain. So in other words, they may never get to that point B. They may do all of the little tasks in between that does not help them get to that ultimate goal. For example, and you've experienced this, I don't know how many times I've told my children to make up their bed, right? And by the time they get back to me, they have done 5 other tasks in between, none of them that has to do with making up their bed. Now, some of the tasks may be actually fruitful, and some of it may be a great thing. But the point is, they totally forgot about making up their bed after doing all those other tasks. And so the idea is that really trying to put in those skill sets to help them reach that ultimate goal and just brush the other things aside. Now, what is working memory? So working memory is a system, it's first of all, it's one of the brain functions of executive functions. And it is a system for temporarily storing and managing the information required to carry out complex cognitive tasks such as learning, reasoning, and comprehension. And this reminds me of even more details. So it still helps with the overall, okay, you need to go make the bed, and you need to remember to make the bed and all the tasks that go to it to get to making the bed. But there's even situations like reading a book for school, right? And they have to do it in class time because they may only have 30 minutes in class. So they have 20 minutes to read. And then the last 10 minutes, they may talk about what they read. And it is really difficult for a child that does not have the developed executive functioning skills to really comprehend that information in a short amount of time and then be able to discuss it. And that is one of the areas that we definitely as parents need to watch out for and help our children improve. So that is working memory. So what are some of those areas that can really help them in terms of developing those executive functioning skill sets, which in turn for this particular situation is working memory? So what as parents can we do to help them develop some of those executive functioning skill sets, especially around working memory? So one of the things, back to the reading example, we can help them by having them read aloud. And actually, my child is, because he is on an IEP, he is permitted to read, we'll call it whisper reading. So he is actually allowed to read a little bit aloud to himself. So it helps him process the information better. The other thing that they can do is, especially for my older child, is come together into a study group. And what really helps with that, whether they have a partner or, 3 or 4 people, the study group can help them for a couple of reasons. One, if they simply get stuck, they have somebody they can ask immediately so they can get the information back immediately. Or if they get stuck so much that they need to just get up and walk away, or if they have to use the restroom and they come back and they just forgot where they were, they can also connect with their study group and say, hey, I didn't understand that, or can you help me with that? And it brings them back in. So having a study group is going to be very important, or can be very important, very helpful. And obviously you have to have really good study partners. The other thing is, when they have the opportunity, if they have the opportunity to take time to complete a task, I let them complete it. So in other words, when they come home, I do not call them for dinner. I allow them to completely complete their math homework, for example, or their reading homework. I make sure they're able to run completely through it. And if it is too late, then I'll just bring the dinner to them, because I don't want to interrupt their progress. I don't want to interrupt them. I don't want to take their mind off of what they're doing. The more they are able to focus and get it completed thoroughly, the better off they're going to be. The other thing is, when they walk into the door, because they tend to forget they even have homework, is I make sure they pull everything out, they put everything away, and then they will go through their homework with me, and they will let me know what they have homework wise that they need to complete that evening. And so then that way I know exactly what they need to do, and they're reminded, because sometimes, from the time they left school, especially if they were given homework earlier that morning, from the time they left school to the time they get home, you can forget it. I mean, they forgot they even had homework. So I have them, again, pull everything out, we go through it, and then we get those tasks completed. I have them work through their homework and ask me questions if they are confused. So again, almost like the study group, but with me. So immediately, if they are confused, if they've already worked through it and could not answer it themselves, then they come to me and ask questions, and I help them work through it immediately. And then the last thing I do is, I also try to understand what their triggers are. So if there's anything that is going to trigger them not getting it completed, or is going to set them off on a different path, I make sure they're away from those situations. So for example, I put them in a quiet spot. If they can handle light music, so I may play classical in the background, so that way they can, they can do their homework or read to classic music or classical music. But I will not put triggers around them to give them distractions. We take all the distractions away. So then that way, again, they can focus and they can just get their work done. Okay, so those are just some quick tips that I wanted to share with you. I can understand that working memory can be a very difficult skill set to master, but it can be done, and it can be done well. And like I said, I had been dealing with this all my life. I still deal with it today, and I have put processes in place for myself to work through. So if I can do it, I know anybody can. So those are just a few tips that I had for you. Definitely, if you have any tips, what you do to help your child with working memory, please put it in the comments below. I definitely want to hear from you. And if you want more content like this, please like and subscribe. And I look forward to talking with you soon. All right, take care. Have a wonderful and blessed day. All right, take care. Bye.